Pulsations of lilac light played across the domed ceiling of Iolanthe Verity's cosmo-communication chamber, radiating from a contraption that negotiated the language of the stars. Each beam of light was a note, every note a word, and each sentence a poem in the slow cosmic dialect that science had only recently begun to interpret. But tonight, one stanza, uttered by the star Sirius Vicis, echoed ominously in the chamber. It was dying. Iolanthe swallowed heavily. Her life's work had been to decode these stellar songs, the low light-frequency communications of celestial bodies. And Sirius Vicis was irreplaceable, not just because it was part of our galactic family, but because it had shared tales of cosmic history no other star recounted. Panic clawed up her throat, but Iolanthe forced herself to stay calm, to make sure she had not misunderstood. She ran Sirius Vicis's message once more, the algorithms converting its light data into perceptible sensory information. Yet no matter how she scrutinized it, the conclusion remained the same. With slow, calculating breaths, Iolanthe left the chamber. Her mind was a storm of confusion and worry, but there was one glimmer of purpose amidst the turmoil. She needed to inform the Celestial Committee, the governing body for humans' relations with space. As absurd as it seemed to herself, Iolanthe was about to argue that they had to save a star. The committee's assembly was grand, reflecting mankind's inherent desire to reach the sky. It was situated on the highest peak the Earth had to offer, Mount Everest, now a structural marvel of steel and glass. Inside, renowned astroscientists filled the room, the air thick with intellectual arrogance and political stiffness. Iolanthe stood at the lectern, adjusting the microphone to her height. Her heart pounded against her chest, but it also pounded with an urgency that demanded attention. "Esteemed members," she began, her voice steady, "we face an existential crisis. Sirius Vicis is dying, and it predicts its death will cause a supernova that threatens Earth." Pandemonium spread amongst the committee. Shouts, protests, accusations, denial resonated in the colossal hall. "A star cannot predict its death, Dr. Verity," sternly said a member, Dr. Keene, his silver eyebrows furrowed, "nor can it cause a supernova that can erode Earth's existence." Iolanthe steeled herself. "We've long overlooked the apocalyptic possibilities, Dr. Keene, because our interactions with stars were rudimentary. But now, we converse in the same language. If a patient said they were dying, wouldn't a doctor take the word seriously?" Keene stared at Iolanthe, unperturbed. "We have to contemplate this scenario with larger implications. Start an immediate investigation, but also begin to devise contingencies, if need be." Regardless of the dismissal she faced, Iolanthe was determined. She had to decode this celestial doom and find a solution unheard of. Sirius Vicis couldn't just die, not if they could save it. As humanity's first line of communication with the stars, it was her duty to keep the dialogue going, whatever it took. And so, under the cool shade of disbelief and political disinterest, Iolanthe Verity began her fateful journey, racing against the ticking light of Sirius Vicis. Brisk winds swept across Iolanthe's hair as she crossed the Academia Bridge, heading towards the rogue side of scientific society. The Academia was a sanctuary for those disinterested in political restrictions, embodying free thought and endless innovation. These were Earth's unsung defenders, the renegade scientists. She entered Modus Arcanum, an inconspicuous facade concealing an unimaginably advanced research facility. Here, human resilience against crisis was forged, from revolutionary technologies to unprecedented strategies. Iolanthe greeted Dr. Eos Zenith, the lead researcher, firm and charismatic, with a spark in her eyes that could ignite galaxies. "The celestial catastrophe you mentioned is fascinating," Eos mused after Iolanthe filled her in. "Saving Sirius Vicis, however, is a challenge we must take. We must protect the knowledge it carries, its narratives of celestial history." With that pledge, they embarked on their formidable endeavor. Hours turned into days, days into weeks. They repurposed astroengineering principles to devise a star stabilizer, a device to interrupt the energy flow within a star to slow its death process. Meanwhile, Iolanthe worked on the evacuation blueprint, mapping out potential exoplanets for human habitation. But their initiatives didn't halt at practical solutions. They tirelessly rallied support within the public domain, juxtaposing the hierarchy of powerful, yet unyielding decision-makers. They met with reporters under the vicious churn of neon lights, gave interviews in the stillness of radio studios, and scribbled statements onto the eager pages of newspaper journalists. The message was clear: muster the courage to face the threat, or perish in ignorant bliss. Yet, with every exertion made, their appeal clattered futilely against the doors of bureaucracy. Their hope was dwindling, when unexpectedly, a twist of fate refueled their endeavors. Iolanthe found an ancient communication she had archived long ago in her research. It was from Altair Liber, another star with whom Sirius Vicis often conversed. The communication hinted at a mysterious cosmic healing process. This revelation invigorated their crusade with a new energy. With redoubled efforts, they raced against time. In the shadowy corridors of Modus Arcanum, amongst the hum of machines and the whirring data processors, Iolanthe and Eos staked everything on a single, desperate attempt to shield their world from a cosmic winter. Their actions were fueled by a belief that even against an celestial disaster, human tenacity could prevail. Hope, it seemed, had not been extinguished. Eos and Iolanthe sat in Modus Arcanum's mission control room, apprehensive energy pulsing from the high-tech walls. Screens blinked with complex calculations. The culmination of months of frantic scrambling now balanced on a razor's edge. The star stabilizer was poised to disrupt the energy flow of Sirius Vicis, buying them time to further understand the mystery of cosmic healing and execute their evacuation plan. Status report, Eos ordered, her eyes fixed on the largest screen streaming live visuals of their space probes set to deploy the stabilizer into Sirius Vicis. Star stabilizer deployment imminent. All systems are operational. Initiating countdown, reported an engineer. As the countdown reverberated, every heartbeat echoed the passing seconds. 3, 2, 1, release. With those words, the probes propelled the device into Sirius Vicis's outer layers. Visual representation glowed brightly on screen as the device settled within the star. Iolanthe held her breath, clutching the console. This was it. Their entire planet's fate rested on. An alarm klaxon blared, transforming the previously charged silence into chaotic frenzy. Energy surge detected, an operator yelped. Sirius Vicis's photonic amplification is accelerating. The star, visible even on Earth in your backyard, brightened ominously in the monitors. The stabilizer was supposed to interrupt the star's death, not expedite it. A wave of dread washed over Iolanthe. Their last-ditch effort became the tipping point towards disaster. The star's communication, streaming real-time in the chamber, intensified into an avalanche of light, the frequency reaching a deafening crescendo, and then an abrupt silence. Sirius Vicis had ceased its conversation. The death they feared was now near imminent. Not years away, but days. Panic echoed in their eyes, reflected in the brightening light of the screens. With the premature triggering of the supernova, the lingering threat suddenly loomed clear and present, its shadow darkening the hearts and minds of Iolanthe and her team. A bitter taste of karmic irony left them bewildered. Their attempt to play a cosmic physician had merely ensured their patient's rapid demise. In this moment, Iolanthe realized their fight had escalated. It was now against the ticking clock of doom. Their nightmare had not only materialized, but sprung forth to clutch the precious little time they had. She could only grip the console, stark fear rooting her in place, as the definite countdown to their obliteration began. Iolanthe stood staring at the now eerily silent cosmo-communication chamber. The silence echoed the grim fate anticipated for Earth. Amidst this suffocating stillness, she clung onto one frail strand of hope, Altair Liber's mysterious message about a cosmic healing process. Unlocking this mystery was no longer just a quest, it was a necessity. Iolanthe knew Sirius Vicis had been conferring with Altair Liber before its abrupt silence. She walked over to her apparatus, turned the dials, and started recording Altair Liber's message again, a series of gentle, pulsating lights. But as she looked closer, she made a startling observation. The pulsations matched Sirius Vicis's final message, a mirrored, rhythmic dance. It was as if they were attempting to sync, to unite their energies, but Sirius Vicis's premature acceleration had cut short this celestial partnership. A growing realization began to kindle inside Iolanthe. Could the helix of light binding these two stars be the healing process Altair Liber had hinted at? A transfer of consciousness to ensure Sirius Vicis's survival? If it were, Could they facilitate the cosmic communion Sirius Vicis had been attempting? An engineer's voice crackled over her radio, interrupting her thoughts. Dr. Verity, the International Evacuation Presidium demands an immediate review of our evacuation plans. They've finally acknowledged the threat. Arriving at the International Evacuation Presidium, Iolanthe was ushered into a room bustling with urgency. Military heads, scientists, and world leaders huddled over maps bathed in the harsh glow of emergency lights. Fear hung heavily in the air, almost tangible. She took charge promptly. We have potential habitable planets in the proximal quadrant. My team is assembling an action plan for mass evacuations. However, it is insufficient considering the magnitude of our population. We must initiate life preservation measures, including genetical and digital archiving of biodata, and multi-directional launches to hedge our survival chances. The Presidium was silent, each individual absorbed in the grim reality of their situation. In this moment the world was united, not by a shared triumph, but a shared fear. The fear of an untimely end. The fear of the ticking light of Sirius Vicis. With her tasks assigned at the Presidium, Iolanthe returned to Modus Arcanum, more determined than ever. She allocated a contingency team to handle evacuation strategy and brought Eos up to speed about her discovery. Was it too late to rekindle the severed connection between Sirius Vicis and Altair Liber? It was a colossal task, even by astronomical proportions, but it was a risk they were willing to take. It was their only hope amidst the encroaching abyss. The race against destruction had now escalated into a battle for their star's survival. A deathly pallor had swept over the world, the once vibrant star Sirius Vicis, now a haunting beacon of impending doom. Across the globe, humanity moved in hushed silence, a shared lament for Earth's impending tomb. Yet, amidst this foreboding gloom, a speck of resolve glimmered at the heart of Modus Arcanum. Iolanthe stood with the profound gravity of their task settling heavily on her shoulders. She turned to Eos. "Are we ready to project our stabilizer towards Altair Liber?" Eos nodded, her gaze steely. "Ready whenever you are, Dr. Verity." Breath hitching in anticipation, Iolanthe gave the command. "Deploy." The star stabilizer, a beacon of their resolve, pierced through the cosmic expanse. It was an audacious attempt to facilitate a stellar communion, to help Sirius Vicis transmit its life energy to Altair Liber willfully. In this moment, their survival hinged on an unproven cosmic theory, a literal shot in the dark. Every member of the Modus Arcanum team held their breath, eyes riveted on the live feed screens. Would their interstellar intervention work? Or had they merely expedited their demise? And then, as if answering their silent pleas, a flare of light illuminated the screens. It was not the dreaded supernova, but a cosmic phenomenon of extraordinary beauty. A filament of stellar energy reached out from Sirius Vicis, converging with Altair Liber. It was the healing process, the process of transmigration Sirius Vicis had been attempting. Eyes glistening with the birth of a new star, Iolanthe scarcely allowed herself to believe it. Their daring gamble had paid off. The stabilizer had helped Sirius Vicis communicate and unite with Altair Liber in a last cosmic communion. Even in death, Sirius Vicis was ensuring the survival of its cosmic duties. Within the hushed stillness of the control room, an engineer broke the silence. A new planetary system is forming in the wake of the energy discharge. The truth now dawned upon them. Sirius Vicis's death wasn't a random annihilative act, but a planned sacrifice. The supernova that threatened their destruction was also a celestial birthing event, a stellar seeding in the aftermath of a star's death. Humanity would not be taking refuge in another world discovered in the cosmos depths. Instead, they were to inhabit a world sired by their neighboring star. As baffling as it was, as otherworldly as it was, Iolanthe found herself stunned by the cosmic elegance of it. Here they had been, attempting to save a dying star from nature's course, when Sirius Vicis had been orchestrating a breathtaking cosmic symphony all along, a masterstroke of stellar survival. It was not just the end, but also a beautiful and poignant new beginning. The world was to end and yet be reborn. In this celestial revelation, humanity found its peace and prepared for the cataclysm, finally understanding its transformative role in shaping a new world. The final climax of their story echoed Sirius Vicis's ultimate lesson. Existence is not merely about survival, it's about rebirth, transformation, and evolution. Sirius Vicis was dying, but in dying, it was creating new life, a new home for those surviving its death.